I'm Frank, this is a review of the Splitstrike by Nerf. Basically, the Splitstrike is two different blasters assembled together, so each has two different barrels, and then you can disassemble them in order to fire independently at two separate targets whenever you want. Included is the blaster, or blasters, a few elite darts, and the instructions. So now on to the review, starting with the externals. Up front are 4 barrels. 2 of them belong to, let's call it the white gun, and 2 of them belong to the blue gun. But as a unit, it's just one 4-shot gun. Each shot only fires 1 dart, so then you reprime to fire the bottom one. It doesn't fire all 4 of them at once, but you can fire the top 2 at once and then the bottom 2 at once. Up here is an iron sight. Funny enough, it doesn't correspond with a female or rear iron sight back here, so you know, that doesn't help at all, but it looks pretty cool, I suppose. Up top, no Splitstrike tactical rail, definitely worth noting. No rails anywhere. I imagine that's because if you had one centered rail, you couldn't take it apart with your accessory on. Otherwise, it would go flying, and that's no fun. So I get that. Moving down to the trigger, or triggers, I should say. You have 2 separate triggers because when you break apart the blaster, it's going to turn into 2 separate blasters with 2 separate triggers, as you can see there. And the dual triggers is pretty cool because if you prime back both, you can put your finger all the way through and pull both at once and fire both darts at one time, but they're definitely separate units enough to the point where you can weasel in your finger and only fire one at a time, or whichever one you'd like. So definitely like that trigger design. Very well done, Hasbro. I don't say that very often, so I have to be super clear when I do. Moving up here are the priming handles. You can put 2 fingers in and pull both of them back at once. It's not like it's really difficult to prime back. It's just an ordinary unmodified Nerf blaster. The grip is pretty comfortable. It looks and feels sort of like a Night Finder. Blast from the past, I know, right? Not even an elite blaster, but it's definitely comfortable. No complaints, I like it. And under here, a lanyard mount. Keep in mind, if you put a carabiner or something and you hook up a lanyard, when you split these apart, you're gonna have a bad time, so caution. Now getting to the coolest feature in the sales gimmick of the Splitstrike blaster. When you hit this lever here, you can pull down and then pull the 2 blasters apart. When you're hitting that lever, you're essentially just releasing a catch, very similar to pulling a trigger. So you just release the catch and then pull. The detachment of the blasters is pretty smooth and pretty fast, so it's pretty easy if you're using it as a single unit and then you want to randomly, you know, open it up into 2, it's pretty fast. If you notice these goofy little ridges and you're like, wow, that's kind of an odd attachment mech, that seems a little excessive. It would be excessive, except it doubles as a grip. When you put your hand on the handle here, if it were just half a blaster, it would feel really weird because you'd only be gripping half of a blaster. This little odd attachment mech acts as a grip, so it's relatively comfortable. I wouldn't say I'd intentionally make ridges like this on all of my blasters, especially the larger, heavier ones, so it's not like super comfortable, but it's definitely nothing to complain about. And I actually have to say props to Hasbro for thinking of this because other people have made blasters that split apart, but usually it's optimized for either completely apart or completely together. This does both pretty well. The reattachment is also pretty quick. The female notch is on the blue side, and then the male notch is popping out right here on the white side. So to put them together, you just sort of connect that front notch and then push, and it snaps in the rear here. After you've clicked it back into place into a 1 mega unit or mega blaster or whatever, it's pretty sturdy. It holds together pretty well. I wouldn't have any confidence issues carrying that as a single blaster. I don't think it's going to fall apart or anything like that. So firing again, you can pull back both at once, or you can fire just one at a time if you want to. The triggers are separated enough so you can pull just the blue trigger and then just the white trigger, or of course it works the other way as well. Or you can fire them both at once. So the trigger system is nice because you definitely can choose, and it's not like a rough cut where it's really tricky and it takes crazy motor skills that are not present while you're firing foam. It's really easy to pick one or shoot both, so I definitely like that. It fires both top ones and then both bottom ones. That's the firing order. It uses a smart air restrictor, firing the top and then the bottom. If nothing is available at the top, like you only have 1 dart, it's not going to dry fire. It will fire out of the available barrel. That is the smart air restrictor after all. And it's very easy to choose just to fire one or the other. Did I look as tactical as I felt? Probably not. Probably helps if I prime it first. Style points. As you can see, the Splitstrike performs just like most other Nerf blasters. The chronograph results are similar to other elite blasters as well, so you're not going to see any decreased or increased performance on this compared to other things on the market right now. So to my opinion on the Splitstrike, overall, I'm really happy with this blaster. I thought this was going to be a really silly blaster, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I thought the mech was going to be terrible, but once I got my hands on it, it was very clearly not the case at all. The attachment and reattachment is pretty fast. You can do it while you're being shot at, while you're trying to fling foam, whatever. It's not like a hassle. The shooting performance performance is pretty good. It's a compact blaster that has 4 shots, but compared to the size of other blasters, this is pretty cool. And keep in mind, if you never intend to disassemble this into 2 different blasters, probably not the best choice for you. There are other pistols that have bigger capacity for the size, but the ability to do that is pretty cool. No, it's not going to be super helpful for every Nerfer out there, but I know in HVZ especially, it's occasionally nice to be able to focus on one guy and then maybe, I see 2 different people, I need to keep a barrel on both of them. Maybe not actively engaging and actively shooting, but threatening both of them in order to keep them at bay or whatever for zombies is helpful. So overall opinion of the Splitstrike is definitely high. I didn't have any mechanical failures or jams or anything like that. Single shot blasters, come on. I don't think Hasbro's messed one of those up for a little while. So performance is what you should expect from any other Elite blaster. The disassembly and reassembly is pretty cool. If it's not your style, then I would recommend maybe leaning towards another blaster because it is wide. It's a pretty big blaster for a pistol class, so it's definitely not for everyone. But if you think that's a cool feature and you think you'd use it, I would definitely recommend checking out the Splitstrike. So that is my opinion and review of the Nerf Splitstrike. If you're interested in purchasing one, I'll put a buy link in the description box below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.